We're tracking the major stories. Poor intelligence gathering by locals is the reason given by the government on why the attacks by Boko Haram in the northeast persist. Could this be true? Where does the blame lie? The people or the government after claims of Boko Haram being degraded? Data feeds still coming through in one place simultaneously. We'll focus on the major stories. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, has begun a short vacation. His office announced the President will be on break from his official functions from February the 5th to February the 10th, 2016. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo will perform the functions of the President while he's on vacation in compliance with Section 145, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution. Tweet at _Gimba Umar and use the hashtag State of the Nation and be part of the show in under 30 minutes. The Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, says that he is disappointed with Friday's Supreme Court's judgment, which ruled that he should face corruption trial at the Code of Conduct Tribunal. Now, Dr. Saraki says that the charges are politically motivated. On Friday, the 5th, the Supreme Court dismissed his objection to the trial, ending the Senate President's legal contest. What does this mean to the people of the country? Will the President of the Senate get his way and prove his innocence? We'll be watching very closely, though. Now, the Supreme Court has also upheld the election of Okezie Ikpeazu of the People's Democratic Party as governor of Abia State, and Udom Emmanuel, also of the PDP in Akwa Ibom State, as duly elected governors in the long-drawn judicial tussle. From them, victory has come slowly but surely. In a moment, we'll be speaking to a legal practitioner on the latest challenges the Supreme Court's judgment has thrown up. It's prime time in Lagos, and this is State of the Nation.
The growth of the nation depends largely on the government. And that is why on Dateline Abuja, we go to the governments to explain their actions and inactions.
As a president, he will not sit down and hold his arm and look at the Nigerians are working and we cannot do our basic responsibility.
Watch Dateline Abuja at these times on your preferred platform.
Welcome everyone in Nigeria and the rest of the world. I am Gimba Umar and this is State of the Nation. Right behind me, data feeds still coming through in one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms. Let's get your thoughts as we progress on the program. You can be part of the show. Just use the hashtag State of the Nation and tweet at _Gimba Umar. Well, the court gave the ruling validating the April 11 governorship elections on Wednesday night, but did not provide reasons for its judgment to this time. The Supreme Court reversed the decision of the Court of Appeal, which nullified Mr. Okezie Ikpeazu's selection on December the 31st, 2015. The Supreme Court ruled that Mr. Ikpeazu of the PDP won the lawful cast votes in the April 11, 2015 general elections. Let's get a report on how far this has gone.
Party supporters who came to witness decisions in the appeals filed by governors of Akwa Ibom and Abia State, they waited with anxiety as counsels to their candidates battled it out inside the court, trying to persuade the court to either uphold their appeals or cross appeals. The court reached verdicts in the appeals and cross appeals filed in petition challenging the elections of Governor Emmanuel Udom of Akwa Ibom State and his counterpart, Mr. Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State. Hearing in the various appeals lasted over 12 hours with intermittent breaks. After hearing all the appeals, the panel of justices led by the Chief Justice of Nigeria retired to their chambers, returning with a verdict after about an hour. And in less than 15 minutes, they upheld the appeals filed by Governor Emmanuel Udom of Akwa Ibom State and Mr. Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State, declaring them as duly elected. They also upheld the appeals filed by the Independent National Electoral Commission in Akwa Ibom State, asking for the reversal of the cancellation of elections in all 31 local governments in Akwa Ibom State. This was the first reaction to the judgment. All parties in the suit praised the Apex Court for doing justice to the case and improving on the country's jurisprudence.
It's been a very long and tedious journey from the tribunal to the Court of Appeal and then finally here at the Supreme Court. And then the Supreme Court came out in a most astute manner and then restated the law exactly the way it is. So it's a thing of joy from that perspective.
On a day like this, when Governor Udom Emmanuel celebrates, it's not a victory for him alone. It's a victory for democracy, it's a victory for our nation, and it's a victory for our legal system.
Regarding the governorship, we really don't have a choice but to accept it in good faith.
Other reactions also followed the judgment of the Apex Court.
For me, this is a great victory for justice, for the rule of law, and for democracy. And I also want to thank the President, Muhammadu Buhari, for giving an opportunity for the independence of the judiciary, because that is what has culminated in the judgment of today.
I want to describe this judgment in the words of Chief Ganifa and me as a product of exemplary courage, rare beneficence of justice, and unsurpassable exposition of titanic legal intellectualism on the part of the Supreme Court.
After 14 long hours, the verdict is in. There are winners and there are losers. The Apex Court has promised to give reasons as to why it decided in favor of Governors Emmanuel Udom of Akwa Ibom State and Governor Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State. Amaka Okafor, Channels Television News.
2 victories for 2 states. You can imagine the scale of that is happening just across the country now. Jubilation in Abia State as well as in Akwa Ibom State. Well, that much we know until February the 26th, when the reasons will be made known by the court. Mr. Malachi Ogumaju is a legal practitioner. He joins me on phone now. We understand that the traffic is really bad. He's been trying to get across to the station, but he can't do that now. I want to thank you so much indeed, though, for talking to us at this time. You have followed the case from the tribunal to the appeal, and now the Supreme Court has ruled. Why do you suppose it had to come this far before justice is served?
Well, thank you for having me and making this special arrangement to be able to intervene and air my view on behalf of myself and the organization, which is the Committee for Defense of Rights that I as the president. Now, namely that the political evolution of Nigeria, the total effort at the democratization process, including the electoral process, must be designed clearly to limit the exposure of this exercise to litigation. Essentially because at the heart of democracy is the wish and the participation of the people. So if for any reason it has been increasingly impossible for election matters to be resolved in the electoral polls, then we have not completely gotten it right. I understand, and that much we are bound to know, that the totality of the government as a structure is such that cannot be effectual without the presence and intervention of the judiciary. The concept of participatory democracy lies in the free will of the people to choose and elect whoever their leader should be. And ideally, it ought to end in the electoral polls. That way, you are able to aggregate the collective will of the people consistent with the Constitution that insists that the sovereignty lies in the people. Having said that, we must take it further to say that since we couldn't get it right at that level, it is also unexpected, given the stage of our own electoral civilization or democratic civilization, that the courts must necessarily intervene once the parties approach them for